It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Buzz, buzz, babies, we're live. How great was that theme song? That was the best $50 I've ever spent. I'll tell you that much. And I've bought a lot more weird shit for $50. I've used that joke a couple times, but it always works out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blake's Buzz Live. It's Wednesday night. The world is shit. Everything's falling apart. But we're gonna try and distract you for a little bit and talk about some cool stuff and talk about some happy stuff and talk about some comics. Talk about some comics, right? That's what we're here for. I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to introduce everybody, and then we're just going to kind of hit the ground running. By hit the ground running, I mean we're going to go into a rolling tumble clusterfuck where when you start with one snowflake at the top of the mountain, and by the end of the show, it's a real big ball that toppled over your post office. And I'm real sorry about that, but that's what we do. That's what we do. Mark, you're the first in line, bud. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh man, you're gonna regret saying that, but that's cool. We'll go with it. Mark does lesser known comics, and you're real big on Instagram. You guys, that seems to be your social media of choice, right?
Who knows? Yeah. So I am the accidental founder of lesser known comics. I tried just making my own stuff, and then it got away from me. So now there's a whole crew of us, and my wife is just looking at me every day, just being like, "What have you gotten us into?"
That's when you know you made it. when the wife questions you but doesn't leave you, that's when you know you made it. But no, you do a lot of Instagram posts. You do a lot of little quick hit reels. What are they, reels? That's what's on Instagram reels.
Yeah. So it started with me just writing comics, and I worked with a couple of concept artists to work on my own book, and I was going to pick one to work on one book. Fell in love with all of them. So then as I started to develop plot lines and stories for them, I was posting their work and stuff like that. And more and more people kept coming and saying hey, I got a book as well. And, I didn't know any better at the time. So it's that scene in Dumb and Dumber where they're picking up all the hitchhikers, just pick them up, and now we just get this crazy van full of people. And yeah, Instagram's been our primary platform, just because that's the one that I was posting pictures of my dog on before. So I was the most familiar with that, on my personal account. Learning Twitter, Facebook, still an enigma to me. TikTok, I might be too old for, but we're trying to get caught up on those other platforms.
No, yeah, I'm trying to build Instagram. I want more followers. My dog, when I post reels of my new puppy Bruce, he gets I caught him dreaming, right, when his paws were flipping around, and I did that audio overlay of I'm just a baby, and it got 1,500 likes, right? But then I post a review and I'm ooh, I wrote this really good review, and 3 people liked it and one was the writer, and I'm all right, cool, fuck me, I guess that's great. But no, it's hard to build audiences on these different platforms. I'm mainly Twitter. I don't know why people keep following me. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for showing up to the shit show. But that's one of the most aggravating parts of doing all this is ooh, I have an idea, I'm going to post it. And then I'm well, shit, now I got to post it on my Facebook page. Oh, wait, now I got to post it on Instagram. Oh, now I got to make a TikTok. Now I got to make a Snapchat. Now I got to get a fucking second job to I don't know why I need the second job, but
OnlyFans.
I need it for something. OnlyFans, yeah. That's and I keep telling. I always make the joke because I'm a big dude, right? And I'm no one wants to see a big dude on OnlyFans. And there's always 5 people that post up and they're we want to see the big dude on OnlyFans, please. Can you start an OnlyFans? And I'm you know what? We're not going to do that.
There's a niche.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I think you found a niche.
Yeah, I mean, there was a chick selling toe picks to raise money for the forest that burnt down in Australia or whatever. You know, she did quite well. You know,
Well,
so
at
there's
least
always
she
a niche.
sold that to
you know?
like do something. Remember when the one lady was selling her bath water just for like so 13-year-olds would put it in their vape pens and smoke it and
That's very
burp
popular
out
still.
bubbles or something? I don't know what
Oh,
that
that's
is.
That could
too
be
good.
you, Blake's Bubbles Live.
Blake's Bubbles Live. Yeah, I'm just not good at marketing myself. Maybe one day I'll just, like we'll do bubbles. I'll sit on balloons and watch, and we can watch them pop. Maybe like I'll put like some like whipped cream in there, so when they pop, they like cream out. I don't know. We're getting weird. That's cool. We're 5 minutes into this shit. People are already gonna log off. All right,
We're already
Next up-
creaming out after 5 minutes. What's that about?
creaming out after 5 minutes. What happened? Is
Damn
your
it.
first time, bud? Is it
Well, yeah. What can I say?
Speaking of it, up next we got Clay Adams. Clay Adams is a writer of, I get, raunchy comics. Do you just have like no fucks, man? Like, and it's not only like no fucks given, but it's like I'm gonna take you for a ride, and it's gonna be like structured well and paced well, art, letters, everything is great, but it's like you're gonna take us to a weird place, and I love that, dude. Like you have this really dark, intense sense of humor that really comes out in your narratives, and like I'm all about it.
It gets me in trouble sometimes.
I bet it does. I bet it does. But we're not in trouble tonight yet. So.
All right. We're here at Blake's Buzz. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's I definitely have a dark sense of humor. You know what I think? Like, I was raised on Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny and all of that stuff that is probably not suitable for children today, because it's like really dark, a lot darker than you might remember. Mad Magazine, like that was my diet growing up. And then
Mad Magazine is like the fucking Shasta Light of what you write, though. Like.
Well, I took it. You got to crank it up to 11 now. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta turn up the volume, man. And so I think that sensibility sort of met when I got older in high school and like discovered George Carlin. And he's top of the mind now because that documentary just came out on HBO. But he really warped my sensibilities, and so. Yeah, I met my co-writer at Fried Comics, Alexander O'Philippe. I met him in college, and we bonded over a love of Preacher from Vertigo. Okay. And I think that probably more than anything like set the tone for like, okay, when we started making comics, like those were the kind of comics we were gonna make. Like whatever stuff Garth Ennis was up to, we were just shoveling it in, man. Like we just love that stuff. So yeah, PBOW, which is Pregnant Bitches of War for the kids out there. It's a family book.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a zygote phenomenon.
It's especially that first volume. That first volume is kind of crazy. The second volume is nuts. In a different way. We like to spread the nuts around, go nuts in different ways. So yeah, we're on volume 2 of the craziness is continuing right now.
Yeah, it's I read that while I was eating breakfast this morning, and
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it made the Pop-Tarts better.
Oh, good.
Good. It was. It's funny because
Can I make that a pull quote?
Yeah, dude, I'm on so many backs of books right now. Like, please add me. No, I'm not on like so many, but like I've got a few. I've got like a few like legit physical. No, anyway, it's not about me. It's about you guys. It's not about my phenomenal reviews and quotations. This isn't what Blake's Buzz Live is about. No, but this week is kind of busy, and so like usually like in the mornings I cook breakfast, and my dad has all these like intense like heart issues that I'm gonna inherit in like 10 years or shit. Like stuff for it. And my dad has to eat like 15 pills, right? My and he used to just eat this handful of coffee. And then all day he'd be like, feel good. I don't feel good. I'm like, motherfucker, like eat some, and I make him a breakfast sandwich, and I'm like, eat this breakfast sandwich and take your pills, and you won't feel as bad. We're finally like, I'm not a doctor, but like, I guess I kind of am. And we're like we're getting over this hill, right? And so this week I've been eating Pop-Tarts because like I wanted to get like some reviews out, and I have some interviews later this week. And so like my morning time before work is when I knock out a lot of Blake's Buzz shit. And so I was like, if I just eat a Pop-Tart and don't, make breakfast, I'll like save like, 40 minutes, and I can, write and read and prep. And so my dad's been like, yeah, I'm really glad you got this like podcast show thing and can't make me breakfast anymore, and I'm gonna die soon. That's great. I'm like, cool, Dad, thanks, man. But anyway, yeah, that's awesome. So that's
nothing like a guilt
story.
trip first thing in the morning.
Oh, dude, the Morgans do really solid guilt trips. If I could ever make like a way to do like comic book guilt trips that my family gave me, like, dude, I'd be like Charlie Stickney on Kickstarter. I'd just be fucking like banging, just like, give me those bands, just like thousands and thousands just rolling in. But anyway, so Pregnant Benches of War is it was a really fun way to eat breakfast this morning. I had a feeling, like I was like, okay, I kind of know what I'm getting into, but like, holy shit, did you like crumple me up into a little fat boy ball and roll me down a river of fucking nutso? Like, that's what you did to me this morning. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get more into that. And last but not least, Jon Westhoff is here. He's the head honcho of Part-Time Comics, and he's doing a really cool Kickstarter deal right now, which I find very fascinating because, like, I think anthologies sound absolutely fucking exhausting. I love them. I love backing them. I love paying for them, and I think they're so cool, and I think they're so wonderful for getting new voices out there, or not even new voices, but just voices that haven't been heard yet, right? Like this dude he's written like 5 fucking comics, no one's fucking talking about him. Let's put this dude in a fucking anthology and roll his name out. And Jon was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna do 2 anthologies for 1 Kickstarter, and it's not 2 for the price of 1. You're still paying for 2, but it's worth it because I've read Jon's comics and they're good. And Jon doesn't fuck. Okay, I was about to say Jon doesn't fuck around. Jon fucks around, and Jon fucks around hard. But Jon knows good comics, and Jon knows good creatives, and a lot of people like Jon, and like Jon's been around for a minute. So anyway, I guess I should probably just shut up.
Well, thank you for that nice way of saying, that I'm really old. And thank you for also being so OCD that you needed a third guest, that you were desperate enough to ask me back again. I appreciate that.
You stop it. We talked about it before.
You got to fill this third box. You don't like it when there's not 4 people on the screen. I get it.
Oh, we did. I did a 3 show the other night. It worked out.
Oh yeah.
You prick.
Well,
anyway,
thank you for having me on. I like Mark backed my way into publishing. I was too young and naive 10 or 12 years ago to know the horrors that I was about to get into. So I kind of started it as a way to publish my own stuff. And then just like Mark, started gathering up these amazing van full of awesome creators. And that went on for about 10 years with Kingbone Press. And then I wanted to kick them all out of my van because they were all not paying for gas and they didn't bring, any weed or women or anything like that. So, the van got to be too much. So then I took a break. And about 2 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm feeling refreshed. I'm going to come back. And this time I'm going to have just a home to park my ideas that don't get picked up for publishing. So I have a place to publish them. And 2 years later, I'm now publishing my 3rd book with a bunch of other creators that I picked up along the way. So the cycle repeats. We're right back where we started. So, but we have a new name, Part-Time Comics. And yes, I am the publisher, writer, and letterer for most of the books that are on the under the umbrella.
I just think that's awesome. And also, like, none of you brought women to the show. I just would like to throw that out there. That didn't happen. It's not like it would really make a difference anyway, because it's all virtual. Like, we could all, like, I could throw like dollars at the screen, I guess. Just, like, but that's not going to happen. That wasn't $1, by the way. That was a glasses wipe that I cleaned my glasses off with when we first started the show. Anyways, but I have a question, Jon. And now, now we've all introduced ourselves, and I've made a fool of myself about 4 or 5 times already in 15 minutes, but that's cool. That's why people tune in. They like it.
Mm-hmm.
But how does it work? How are you able to write Simpson comics without, or is it illegal? Are we not allowed to talk about this? Or are you just are you shut up, man, they're going to find us?
Oh, it's definitely an illegal gray area. I did consult a few people, but again, decided kind of at this point, you know what, I'm old. I've been around a long time, and as Ozzy Osbourne says, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So maybe a couple lawsuits will actually, bring some eyes to the company. But yeah, we're definitely, we're filing these under parody, Blake. So there are parody comics.
Okay.
We're trying not to use anything officially copyrighted, but
thanks for telling me, because I'm a lawyer and I know all the sense that makes.
I'm sure we've any second now, Fox or Disney or whoever, Wizards of the Coast are going to be sending us cease and desist letters, but hopefully I can at least get the book out for a couple weeks before that happens.
and not only that, it's also you've got The Simpsons, and then you've got Magic the Gathering.
Correct.
Which, by the way, when we tweet out MTG, I don't know if all you young kids are hip to this jazz.
Yeah.
It's Magic the Gathering. I was raised I was a Catholic school kid, right? And I lucked out, and we didn't have any creepy priests. But
Great.
we did get yelled at for reading Harry Potter. And we did get yelled at for playing Magic the Gathering, because Magic the Gathering was really close to Dungeons and Dragons. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, that means you're letting the devil into your soul. And if you're letting the devil into your soul, baby, the world's gonna fall apart, right? And that's the youth I grew up in, right? So we were playing Magic, and I fucking suck in Magic the Gathering. My buddy used to make my decks, and I'm pretty sure he just made them so he could beat me.
Probably.
But I remember being a kid, and I wanted to be good at it, right? I wanted to play. It was exciting. It was cool. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. And we would go to Toys R Us when Toys R Us shops were around everywhere, right? And we'd pick up booster packs. And I remember when the Ice Age Magic the Gathering saga came out, right? When I was when I was a little bear cub, baby, right? When I bought a couple of those, and my buddy and I'm looking at the cards, and I'm like, I don't know what this means, man. He's like, give me your fucking cards, I'll make you a deck. But yeah, so although I was fucking terrible at Magic the Gathering, it was still a big part of my youth. And I remember playing that when we couldn't go outside for recess, in grade school, if it was raining or thunderstorming or whatever, we would have recess in the halls, and some people would work on homework or work on projects, and then some of us were playing Magic the fucking Gathering in the hallways. And so I remember that that was part of my baby Blake days, and now you're making comics about it, and so is Boom.
Now I am making illegal off the record comics about it, but really, and I've played for about 25 years, about the same time you started, on and off. But yeah, I love the game. I met a ton of awesome creators that also love the game, and I said, well, let's make a comic anthology about it. We'll kind of make goblins and soldiers, kind of generic stuff that's in the game. And then I realized, you know what? I know these. I met some awesome cosplayers and some awesome prose writers and some awesome, card alterists and all these people that express themselves in different ways, their love for the game. So I felt like that at least skirted the line enough where we weren't, using anything official, from Wizards of the Coast or anything like that. And I really was happy with how the first volume came out, and that's kind of how we got to the second Kickstarter. This really was supposed to be just on the stack too, It was supposed to be the second volume. I some other people approached me after the first one, said, I love the project, can I be a part of it? And then there were some other people that I didn't get in the first one that I wanted to. So yeah, I was going to do a sequel, right? We had some success. It was really fun. I'm really happy that it's kind of a product that I hadn't really seen before. But then somebody threw this Simpsons ripoff comic idea at me, and I was just too stubborn to say I cannot let that sit. We have to do this. So that's why it's 2 books at once. It really was supposed to be just on the stack too. And I said, you know what, it's not really going to fit in the schedule anywhere. So let's just do them both at the same time. If people want to get them both, they can, or they can get them individually. And that's why we're doing 2 books at the same time.
Okay. So, all right. Well, so I'm trying to share your book here, but the link is like way too long to post. I'm trying to.
It was up on the screen.
Oh no, it was up. But if I we can do this. Like it, we can. Here we go. Hold on. Sorry,
I got a shorter one for you.
Do you?
But
is it girthier? Is it shorter? Is it, what's the story? All right. Well, all right. I'm can you like post a comment, John?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never done this before. This is the 11th episode, but I'm still struggling, guys. I'm still
all right. It's all right.
Everybody's like, man, we're done. We're leaving. Fuck this guy. This weirdo. This Kansas City weirdo. But no, it's I'm stoked for, and I like both the titles, up and Let's Go and like On the Stack. Both of them like have there's like movement in the title, right? It's like, it's not just like, hey, sit on your ass and read this comic. It's like, hey, get up and do shit. Like let's move it. Let's we're moving and grooving. I love the variants too. I love this variant right here, by the way.
Yeah, and Hillary Barta, he has worked at Bongo Comics, so I wanted to get him involved. He and I are acquaintances through the comics community, fortunately, and he was very cool to work with. Colored by the amazing Jason Millet, and Tim Gadke did the second cover again for On the Stack. So we have an amazing set of covers. I hope that's at least enough for people.
What did you say when you were looking for when you were looking for submissions? You said something like really funny. You were like, you don't
anything funny.
You're like, you don't get paid. We're doing comics to like fight God. It wasn't fight God, but it was like,
oh, it's in there somewhere that I rounded up the best creators I could find that would work for next to nothing, which, is true of any anthology, right?
Yeah.
So I am trying to, with this company, at least compensate the creators, at least something, for being part of the project, a small page rate plus copies of the book. That is something I definitely want to do with each project. If it's somebody outside of myself or somebody else who has, creator owned rights, I want to try to compensate them for participating. And it really came together well. A lot of the creators in the Simpsons book, particularly, you see there, we're kind of riffing on a lot of the comics that were on the comic shelves in the background of the Androids Dungeon. You have Bloodzilla and you have Dog Kid and these comics that they maybe mentioned in one line or maybe were just in the background. And again, my buddy Charlie, who I know through playing Magic the Gathering, he really came up with the idea. He's like, oh, you should really do this. And once he said that idea, I just couldn't let it go. It didn't matter that I didn't have time for it. It didn't matter that it didn't fit in on the schedule and I don't have the money up front to pay the creators. I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to, take the risk and just get it done because it was too good of an idea to pass up.
And you're also doing sketches, right? You're doing Simpsons sketches.
I am. I'm trying. I am. Not,
and you're doing them, right? Like you're the one doing them.
Because the artists are spending so much time creating the book. I did get my buddy Andy Vanderbilt, who did the Tree Man story, the Tales of Tree Man story, in here with me to do a couple sketches. But you overwork those guys and gals so much. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. So I'm doing Magic the Gathering tokens in the theme of a Simpsons character. So hopefully, people will pick those up. I'm not much of an artist, but I gave it my best.
Well, I mean, Tom King isn't much of an artist too, and people gather in hordes to get a stick figure drawing when he's at cons. And you're at least not doing stick figures. You're doing like real Simpson. Yeah.
I did some recently.
Look at that. Like you might have you illustrated the show? Like, I mean, I
those
feel
are
like
pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of the show, so I feel like maybe it's ingrained in me. So I'm trying. I actually did my first sequential art in the book too. I said, you know what? I have an idea for a story. It's probably too silly to get somebody else to draw and waste their time. So I'm going to do the short story because you know what? It's my freaking comic company. You know what? If I can't do it now,
you do what you fucking want to do. You lay the hammer down, baby.
Yeah.
No, I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say you're my friend, but I apologize, but like you're like a nerd internet buddy that I found. And like, I'm going to like, I've happily backed, your other comics and I've gotten comics from you and there's a lot of humor and there's a lot of charm and they're like smart, like you're a smart creator. You have a really good outlook on what makes things good and what makes the punchlines hit and the art is solid and the lettering's solid and your comic, you know how to print a comic, like it looks good when you get the physical copy, you open it up, it doesn't fall apart, it doesn't come with like extra moisture wrinkles and it doesn't come with a bunch of like weird
I
shit.
letter the
Like,
comics myself, so I do appreciate that, and I don't get many compliments about the letters. Most of my stuff, and I do staple them myself too. So I'm, thank you.
okay, I will say that the stapling job needed a little bit. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
I know. I didn't get the good ones. I went to Costco. I'm sorry, but I thought I was doing a lot. I'm doing 2 books. Look at me, even though most of the heavy lifting is done by the other creators. But Mark's doing like 17 books. He's like, you know what? So when I saw his Kickstarter today, I was like, wow, you know what? Somebody had to one up me. They had to do, 3 books at once. Well, I'm doing this pathetic two for a book.
Well, no, he does. I do like the bundle. I like the lesser known comics bundle. I also like that, like every time I look at the lesser known comics logo, it looks like Kansas City. It looks like KC, but it's not. But I pretend it is. I'm like, yeah, but no, your logo's really good. And whoever did your logo, like kudos to them. But yeah, so I guess we'll switch. I guess we'll switch to Mark. Let's put you on the spot, bud. So you are doing lesser known comics and you guys do similar to what Jon is doing. You release like bundles crowdfunding.
Yeah, so sorry, the internet got a little choppy there for a second. Kind of a function of like, lesser known comics. We're all like, first time creators and stuff like that. So we were looking at, strength in numbers and stuff like that. So so we did these batch, so we're on batch 4. So batch 2, we started with like 5 books. And then we realized that that's a lot of work. We also realized that like a book being like done versus a book being like you have the physical proof, you're just waiting to like send the order. Like those are 2 very different things. So batch 3 was like 7 books, which I'll never do that again. So
yeah, because this time's 3, right? Is it 3 or 4?
Yeah. So yeah, it's 3, and we decided to I come from the music scene, so it's like we were like, oh, we'll do like the headliner, which is the graphic novel there, the Tank McGregor one. So that's 120 some odd pages, and then we had kind of like the undercard. So this is Death Wish. It's essentially like it's an issue 1, but it's more of like an issue 0. So this series will continue. And then this one was just one of our illustrators said, hey, worst pitch in the world. He was like, I want to do something black and white, no words. It's going to be weird, but you might like it. And it's got a terrifying ending.
Oh my God. Like what the fuck? Like comic book jump scares. So before I experienced your comics, which I love, Tank McGregor is like my new fucking hero, by the way. Like, I just want to like explore the cosmos with a floating ball with a like, what does that mouth do? I don't know. I got some ideas, like that, this fucking like, Tom, what's the movie where there's the volleyball. He has like who paints the face on Wilson.
Oh,
Tom
yeah,
Hanks.
yeah. Castaway, yeah.
Castaway, yeah. So we have this like Castaway, but also like it's not just a volleyball. It's like it has a legit like personality. It's artificial intelligence. It's got a giant hole in its face. Like, what's this hole used for? And why do we have this like awkward romance, right? And like I have so many questions. I have so many questions, but it's so good. But yeah, so like I love, oh my God, like Tank McGregor, like I loved, but that fucking horror comic, And I watched because you were on Kevin and Will's show last week, and
Oh yeah.
we're on the same podcast network, right? So like I can steal guests and not feel bad about it. But you were talking to them, and like they were talking about how it was a solid comic book jump scare, which is so hard to do. The only time I've ever really been able to do it is when like I'm reading a horror comic on Comixology or something and using the panel by panel. Like I read Nailbiter that way, and the cool thing about reading that is like you're reading it digitally. You can like turn the lights off, right, and like read in your bed with the lights off, and it's going panel by panel. And then when something big happens, it kind of jumps out at you, and it's like it's still not that horror movie jump scare, but it's similar, and it like kind of fucks with you a little bit. But that fucking comic, dude, of a guy who like doesn't sleep well and continuously like rolls over. Like I'll like pull the cover up and roll over, pull the cover up this way and roll over, and like like and the pile of fucking dirty clothes. Oh my god, dude! Like that was so good. That was like your comics that you're curating and putting out on these like Kickstarter bundles are really, really fucking good. And I loved that we had this like blend of Tank McGregor like making me laugh my ass off, and like this like, is comical noir a thing? Or like, can I say that and not sound like an idiot? Because it kind of is like comic. It's kind of comical noir. Like he's like this sort of private investigator, but not really. And he's like venturing the cosmos, and like there's no hope. Like there's not a lot of happiness, right? So we've got the hopelessness, we've got the investigator, we've got the case, and so it kind of feels like that. Anyway, so like that was making me crack up, and then this other comic just made me like feel drastically uncomfortable, and like I just love like, but in a good way, like in a like in a way that like makes you feel uncomfortable satisfyingly. I don't know, but it's good. It's good. And so like I really appreciate that, and I love that we're getting in so many Kickstarter, and I don't like, I've already been accused of being an asshole to indie creators, so I'm going to say this in a nice way. Like I love getting prints. I love fucking getting bookmarks. I love the playing cards or the trading cards, but I also use those for bookmarks. So like, it's cool to like get a book with its own bookmark, right? And like, I'm going to read this book and I'm going to use the bookmark that this artist made, and it's cool. But it's, like there's a lot of like sometimes bloatware in Kickstarter, and it's like these things are cool, but like, what do I do with them? Like I put them in a bag, and board, and I put them in storage like I do with single issues, right? And I very much enjoy and appreciate and congratulate this notion of this like bundle of like a zine, a single issue, and a graphic novel. Like, dude, cool. Fuck yeah, I'll give you that money. I'll give you that money all fucking day, dude. Like, that's so smart. So like teach us, senpai. Like, how the fuck did you come up with that?
Yeah, where did you find Ronaldo? They're amazing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Ray, interesting. He actually launched a Kickstarter. He tried to get Tank off the ground, a while ago, and it's just one of those things, right? Like if you don't know the algorithms for social media and stuff like that, you just, if it's your first rodeo, something that's so amazing like that can, just not hit the right eyes and, never caught fire. So, he kind of just like persevered, and, he kept working on the book. He's already 75 pages into the next graphic novel. And he's, we found each other, and he was another one. He hit me up and got buried in the DMs, and then, followed up, and I was like, oh my God, like where have you been? Like, so, I feel like I'm mostly just, giving him a microphone, but yeah, Tank is a down on his luck bounty hunter, that's got a contract to track down a murderous pleasure bot, that's become sentient and going on a rampage. And it's like
you do.
Cool. And it's got got action and mystery and dad jokes and then when you talk
Dad
to
jokes
Ray,
for days.
yeah,
The best dad jokes. Who made
Yeah.
your, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but who made your graphic here? Because I love this. I love this elongated graphic. So we got Tank McGregor, and then we switch into your Death Wish here, and then we switch into Good Night. And like, look at that. Like, it just all blends together and it's so good. And it's just like, why would you not want to give these people money? Go give these people money, listeners.
Yeah, I mean, that can be
So-
a hard sell, right? Like you have a diverse products, but I know I back, companies like Birdcage Bottom and Retrofit Comics. I love when, you get a subscription plan and it's so diverse. You don't know what each comic is going to be, to me at least.
Yeah, and so our graphic designer, her name's Jackie. It's her job to kind of make sure that all our books kind of feel like they're part of the same family, which I think is not necessarily an easy task because we have so many different types of books. That's one of the crazy things about this company is the lead graphic designer, Jackie. She's the one she says this thing is ready to print before I'm going to spend thousands of dollars sending something to a printer. It's actually a 23-year-old that's telling me that everything's good, and she's just phenomenal. She actually cornered me into an interview when she was still in college and was like, interview me for this job. And I was like, okay. And then was like, I'm one of me, you need one of me, hire me. And okay, it's been great. So, a lot of this stuff, I feel like I get a lot of the credit for it, but in many ways, I also feel like the inmates are running the asylum because, they're just doing so much on their own. And all I'm trying to do is just provide the best platform for them and then try and make life, a little less difficult, as a new indie creator.
How dare you? How dare you try to make their lives less difficult? Is it, you gotta climb the mountain, right? No, I'm just kidding. But what made you want to instead of just putting out a Kickstarter or for a graphic novel or for a fucking zine, you could kickstart a zine, if it's fucking good, I'm not gonna get mad at you, but what made you want to bundle these together and be we're grouping these comics together and we're putting them out there? And so where did that mentality come from? Because I feel like that's kind of fresh, just because they're wildly different. There's so many, it's funny, it's horror, it's action, and
I think it just stemmed from me not having confidence in myself. So the first batch was a majority my books. So I was well, we got to get somebody with I don't know what the F I'm doing. So I get some other people to help, I felt safer going in as a group. And now it's kind of flipped where it's mostly other people's books. And I've written maybe one book in the collection that goes out. But we're also, we're half startup, half hippie commune. We're very we talk about our feelings a lot at Lesser Known. It's and we've kind of made that one of the mantras where it's it's fine if you want to be successful and everything, but it's another thing that you if you're gonna make books here, you got to be looking out for the whole of the team. And the cool thing is that these creators have such respect for each other. They're making variant covers for each other without me asking or being a part of it. They're just and they're always so meek about it. What's his face? Abel. He's hey, do you think Soren would mind if I made this variant cover for him? Sorry, it's upside down. And I was no, I don't think he's gonna mind it. He's a huge fan of you. So that's been really rewarding. And that's kind of been the magic that we've had right now is just just really trying to people are doing art streams for each other and bringing the people who are featured on this Kickstarter because they know when it comes their turn and their book is in the in the spotlight, that same support's going to be paid forward. to them. So that's been really cool to see, and watching those friendships kind of grow.
Nice. Well, that's cool.
cool.
I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to you whenever I have enough free time.
This is
to
not
write a
an open
goddamn script.
invitation for you
No.
to share your feelings.
I'm gonna make it about me, sir. That's
the
all
lesser
Blake's
known
Buzz
comic.
is
Not-
to make it about me. That's where you guys get lost in this fucking nerd scenarios. It's about Blake Morgan and Blake's Buzz and whatever the fuck I'm kidding. You guys make me phenomenally cooler. And speaking of phenomenally cooler, let's just switch it up. We're gonna go to Clay, who's been quiet.
I've been listening and learning,
dude.
I'm soaking it all in.
Are you soaking it in? Because I feel like, dude, you're insane. I'm gonna say this, like no offense at all. Like, you're fucking insane. I don't know how you make these things happen in a script in like the current climate, and everybody's like I love it. I'm like, thank God. Like, or the gods. I hate saying thank God because I was raised Catholic and I don't believe in that much anymore. So I feel like if I add the plural to gods, then it like makes it okay. And I'm not like
make it plural, make it dog,
right? Yeah.
Thank dog.
Yeah. Thank dog.
That
Thank
could be a
the
thing.
dogs. Thank the yips and the howls and the yays, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck that meant. Holy shit. Anyways, you make ridiculous comics and not in a bad, ridiculous way, just in a way that like, you make us laugh at things we're scared to laugh at. You make us excited for things we're scared to be excited for. And you have great lettering. You have great art. You have everything you do has like a phenomenal creative team behind it.
Oh shucks!
Like, and how the fuck
to everybody?
I do, but I mean it. I mean,
you mean it this time. This time I mean it.
I mean it all. I think everybody knows, like, when. Even if like John is a dick and says that like I hit you up like last minute to be on my show, which was a week ago, by the way, it wasn't like super last minute. It was like, what I'm not even gonna give John that benefit, right? Like, but I'm just saying, like, I have to believe in you. Like, I don't want you on my show if I've never read your stuff before. I don't want you on my show if I can't like legit look people in the eye and say, buy these fucking comics, folks. If I can't do that, I don't want to do it. And all of you guys, I believe in that. But Clay, what the fuck? Like, Pregnant Bitches of War is absolute drop dead, stop the show insanity. And I only read volume 1. We're in the 3rd volume. So like there's a new volume and a middle volume that I haven't even like got my hands on yet.
Yeah. Technically this is volume 2. We're actually only in volume 2, and we're volume 3 is coming. It's coming down the line, and it's going to prove to be even crazier. But yeah. So we're in volume 2 now. It's the 3rd issue of volume 2. We're kickstarting right now, out of 4. So they're going to be 4 this volume. We had 5 in the first volume, 4 in this one. And yeah, I mean, so we came up with the idea like more than 10 years ago at this point. Like, it was maybe 2008, 2009 we came up with the idea. So and we started writing. So the volume that you read, volume 1, we started like developing that in like 2009. The comic, the first issue we started doing in like 2010. And then we put them up on our website in like by 2013. We launched friedcomics.com. We thought we were going to make $1 bajillion selling 99-cent downloads. Spoiler alert, we did not make $1 bajillion. We finally we made about $3. Yeah. And then and then we had to pay like Comixology fees. So we made about $1.50.
Oh no.
No. We did a little bit better than that, but so we launched in 2013, 2014. So that's when that first volume was made, and then the second volume, we just started like 2 or 3 years ago, we started kickstarting that volume using the art team of Fabio Ramacci and Ilaria Chiocca. That's my terrible Italian. Hello, if you're watching, Fabio and Ilaria. Sorry for slaughtering your names yet again. But they were the art team that did Red Xmas for us. That was our book that we kickstarted that got picked up by Scout Comics.
Yeah, that put out by Scout. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. And so we decided that this volume was kind of going to be a sequel to Red Xmas, like an unofficial sequel. So you saw Santa Claus there as you were scrolling through the preview. And so we thought that it might be cool to bring on Fabio and Ilaria to be the artists this time. We were going to get DJ Parnell back, who did most of volume 1. But she wound up having a conflict and kind of last minute we were like, well, it is like a Red Xmas crossover. So let's get these guys. Nuts.
Where did Red Xmas come from? Because did you put that out on Kickstarter too, or did that just come out right through Scout?
No, we did. We kickstarted that. So my co-writer at Fried, Alexandro Philippe, like I said, we met in college. We started writing together shortly after college. And so Red Xmas was actually the first story we ever wrote together. And the thing behind that was that NYU had, that's a happy sound. That's a happy. I heard that. That's a happy sound.
I forgot to mute my mic. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
I didn't mean to interrupt your spiel.
No, I started salivating and I didn't know why. So we Alex and I went to NYU and they had a thing where like every year they would send out what they would call like the logline book. And so they would pitch screenplays to production companies and agencies and managers out in Hollywood. And so you could just pitch a log line. So we were kind of thinking one day, like, well, what's the scariest thing? Like, we thought like Freddy Krueger was super, super scary. That's perfect. A guy that attacks you in your sleep. Who else might attack you in your sleep? How can we get some of this action? And we came up with Santa Claus. And so we pitched this log line about Santa going nuts and getting revenge on all these little brats. And we thought, well, if somebody's interested, we'll write the screenplay. And turns out a lot of people were interested. And then we were like, oh shit, now we got to write the screenplay. And so I flew out to Denver where Alex was living. We locked ourselves in his apartment. We wrote it over a weekend. And as you can imagine, it was as good as that sounds, writing a screenplay in a weekend. It was not all that great, but the bones were good. And so when we did Fried Comics, when we launched in 2013, we were like, let's revisit this. Let's make this a comic. So we had Red Xmas, we had Pregnant Bitches of War, and then we had Deadskins, which is our other series that we kickstarted.
Which is also fucking ridiculous. That's how I found out about you, because I watch I love Kevin and Will's show, I love it, and I steal their guests when I watch them be good on them. I'm like, I hit you guys up later. I'm like, hey, you want to come on Blake's Buzz? Nice. And they haven't gotten mad at me yet. And I'm actually this Saturday, Kevin, I'm doing a podcast with Kevin and Will. I'm really stoked for it. And
cool.
I love them, and they have introduced me to so many indie creators and so much talent, and they've cost me so much fucking money, and it's ridiculous, but I love it. But I backed that project from you first, and I got
Thank
all
you
the
very
back
much.
issues and stuff. Hey, no, man, it was, can I give you a kudos to how wonderfully they were printed?
Thanks.
The 1 and 2 with the perfect bound, and then the following issues, everything was great. And you sent the big autograph plates with it and prints, and it was good for you for how to kickstart. So that's good.
We try to do it upright,
You've been around the block. You've been around.
I've been around a couple of times, You know how it is. You live, you learn. Bada bing, bada boom.
I'm loving how inappropriate Clay's stuff was, because we did a panel together, and it was not the place to have politically incorrect conversations. It was, Clay came off very responsible, like the kind of person that you'd let like watch your children, and those. You know,
Did I seem like a grown up? Did I pass? Did I fool them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
thank you. Yeah, good. I try.
You're a magician.
So you do the research afterwards, and you're like, nice, all right.
Yeah. I mean, like, we don't try to be inappropriate. Like we never, like our goal is not to.
It just happens organically.
Well, we like I said, a diet of Looney Tunes, a diet of Mad Magazine meets George Carlin and Garth Ennis, and that's sort of like what comes out. I mean, like I don't know, man. We were just trying to make each other laugh, and that was sort of like what came out.
If you said "pregnant bitches of war" at that forum, it would have gone over like a lead balloon. It would have.
What was the forum like?
They would have burned the place down.
Yeah, I mean, because it was affiliated with like a college, type of thing, and it was just very like. I remember getting like a preamble like type of instruction before we, it's like, hey, like these are the kind of do's and do nots, and it was kind of like, just, college campuses are very, like politically correct these days and stuff like that. So,
all Clay stuff is the do not.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
do not talk about Clay's.
Don't talk about your own stuff.
Yeah. Whatever
I didn't bring up that we have a book that's in pre-production right now called Glory Hole. That was also not the forum for that as well.
Yeah. There's a time and a place. That was not the time or the place for Glory Hole.
Yeah.
or Pregnant Bitches of War.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, the best time to get.
Blake's Buzz is totally the place for glory holes and pregnant bitches of war. I don't know. You guys haven't figured that out yet. Like that's what this was made for. That's what we went 10 episodes before so that glory holes and bitches of war could happen now. So that we could cascade the beauty and the just the calming notions of glory holes and pregnant bitches of war. Wow, I said pregnant. Holy shit.
It's late, man. You got a couple in you. It's Blake's Buzz. You got the buzz on. It's cool.
Yeah.
But
Mark was like, "Oh no, man!" Like Mark totally leaned back from the mic. He was like, "Ooh."
No, what I was gonna say was, lesser known comics about like 50-50 male, female, and it's the women on our team that will come to me with the most bananas offensive shit like in the world.
They're the filthiest.
Yeah.
They're the filthiest.
Charlie Ragnarok, she's done a couple books with us. She was the one. I got a text at like 11:30 at night, and it was like, "Hear me out. It's called Glory Hole." And it's like, "Do go on." Kayla Payne, she's super quiet and soft spoken, like, and her stuff is just all blood guts and nipples flying everywhere and things like that. It's like you would just never guess, right? You talk to her on the street, you just be like, you're like, oh, you probably make kids books or something. I don't know.
Funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't even know. I've never come across like I guess I'm just throwing myself under the bus here with all these like icons of the indie comic world. But guys, I've never come across a glory hole. Like I've never seen one. Like I've heard the tales. I've heard the tales, but I've never like been going to the bathroom and been like, stick my dick in there, see what happens. I've never been in that situation, but I've never seen anything to like stick it into either. Like it's just there's always
keep your head on a swivel, pal. You'll get there.
Yeah,
you always got to be watching.
You're not looking hard enough.
Anyway. I gotta look harder, right? Yeah, I'm not. I don't. My eyes aren't open enough. Bullshit. I'm trying.
You gotta just be constantly on the prowl, man.
You just haven't had the need for one. It will appear when you need one.
Oh, it's like
the room of requirement.
It's like a Lifetime original movie. There's some romance here. Like you don't ever come across a glory hole until you need to come across a glory hole. Right? Like no one knew this is where the conversation was going to go.
That was
tonight,
deep.
By the way.
That was deep. But going back to like not trying to be purposefully offensive, like like not to and not to like keep going on about George Carlin, but like I really do come from that school. Like I think that guy really did. That's true. He really informed my philosophy in the sense that like I teach my kids like there's no such thing as bad words. You know, there's words are not bad.
Yeah,
it's how you use
there's
them.
no bad words. There's bad people.
They're bad people,
Right?
and they're bad ways of, you know, you can use a word to hurt somebody, and that's bad. But the word in and of itself is not harmful. So and anyway, that's me just saying like we're not trying to upset anyone. That's not our goal, because I do think like there are shock books that like do just want to shock, and that's what they're there for, and that's not what we do. So I did like we had one pull quote from a place that was like, you know, it's more than just a shock book, and I thought, yeah, like that's right on, like we're not just trying to go for shock, right?
Yeah.
If you're shocked, okay, fine, but like we're trying to make you think, we're trying to make you laugh, and the whole idea behind Fried Comics was that like we called it Fried because we want it to be like no nutritional value, right? Like it goes down easy, it tastes good, might give you a little indigestion later, but you know, no nutritional value, but you know, like
Clay's been waiting for the big dude to interview him so he could throw that down there. Like
I've been waiting.
I made my comics for you, Blake. I deep fried them. There's fucking cheese in it. Just eat it and shut up.
That's right. I put that in my back pocket. I whipped it out right now. But I hate to inform you, we might have slipped like a little tomato slice in there. There might be a little bit of lettuce, maybe a pickle, but it's mostly just garbage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live for garbage. I'm like a raccoon. I'm basically like, everybody jokes around with me, but like I have like a really deep respect for raccoons, and I'm not. I've said this before, and I know it's gonna sound weird, but I just, you know, there's not a lot to believe in these days anymore, guys. And you know what I like to believe in? I think fucking raccoons practice forest magic, and that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. I think that they do things in the forest that we're not privy to. They got the extra fingers. They can do weird shit. I think there's more to raccoon way of life than America knows about. Basically,
related to red pandas, right?
Yeah,
there's some connection.
they're all the same. They're
Eastern,
all the same
Western.
weirdos. Yeah.
Maybe you need to start saying thank raccoon. That's a mouthful. That's a mouth. Maybe not.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just rebrand. I'll rebrand into some weird raccoon. It worked for Rocket when, you know,
Totally.
I don't know. What's Marvel?
I think to Clay's point, though, I think the more absurd the premise, I think it can be challenging in a good way to a writer to be like, you know, like it's like what do you call that show Chopped, where they're like, hey, make something delicious out of like a Twinkie, grape soda, and you know, like a brick, and you're like, okay, you know, like and you see what they come up with, and you're like, that's, you know, if I think it forces some innovation there, you know. So yeah, if you can deliver, you know, it's like sneaking, like wrapping your dog's medicine like in bacon and peanut butter or stuff, right? You know, if you can, it's an art, you know, in itself.
And that was sort of the idea. Like we came up with the title. It was that actually came out of Dead Skins. We'd written that as a screenplay, and we got to the end. There was a B story that ended with a bunch of pregnant women holding guns, and we were like, "Oh, that should be our next movie, Pregnant Bitches of War." And we started laughing at what a terrible title that was, and then we were like, "Wait a minute,
let's fucking make it.
Let's do it, and then we'll make it a comic book." And at
the end of the first issue, a dictator's going to be sucking on the teat of one of our protagonists. And at the end of the third issue, someone's going to eat a baby.
The best thing about that, and then he spent the next 10 years putting out 6 issues, you know, all this time he'd invested. Yeah, he thought it was this real funny idea. And now he's like, well, I'm committed now.
I'm in now. I got to do it.
It works. Like that's the craziest part is it works, and it works really fucking well, and it makes you laugh. Like, well, and it makes you laugh and feel like dirty about it, which isn't even a better laugh. Like, I'm sorry, like I'm a sick fuck like that, but like when this is what my dad always taught me, guys. My dad's a very funny man, and my dad was a bartender for many years. And my dad told me, and he was like, people will like you if you can make them laugh. And if you can make them laugh at, say, a funeral, they're gonna love you, right? So like, if you can make people laugh when there's nothing to laugh about.
I think that's on Clay's his Kickstarter page. If you laugh,
if you laugh at funerals, this book is for you. That's right.
Oh shit! Wow. So my dad wasn't as original as I thought. That's so cool. We'll think about that later as my life.
Maybe he's a Fried Comics fan and he doesn't know.
Maybe he does. Yeah. And you know, I think that is part of comics that, and people can make comics any way you want. But for me, you need to embrace the absurdity of it. The fact that you probably can't do that. You know, Clay said some of these things started out as screenplays. You know, we know how hard it is, difficult to make, you know, to really get, you know, that kind of stuff done. Music is the same way, right? Nowadays, we can record whatever we want if we, you know, just want to scream about our feelings or whatever. Comics can be the same. I mean, obviously, you want to be respectful to your team and not, you know, have them spending their time, you know, and not following through with projects. But similarly, my longtime collaborator, Bob Ornelas, and I, we had an idea. We went into Harold's Chicken Shack in Chicago. It was C2E2. Went to get something to eat, and it's an establishment in not the best area of Chicago, and they have some, you know, protective glass for their staff to stay safe, you know, bulletproof glass. So he threw out the comment, you know, 10 or 12 years ago when we were there for our first C2E2. You know, we were eating bulletproof chicken, and I said we're going to make a comic about it. So, you know, lo and behold, a year later, you know, our most successful Kickstarter until my last one this year was Bulletproof Chicken, you know, a comic about, you know, an 80s action, you know, chicken, you know, fighting crime. So
that's
I think
great title.
Sold.
It's such a good title. It's such a good title.
Yeah. And then we did a sequel, Bulletproof Chicken Nuggets, which was 2 prequels and a sequel, and, you know, anything we could fit in there. You know, again, it was just, let's just have fun. Let's enjoy each other. And at the end, we'll have this thing. And, you know, thankfully it was successful too. We were able to get, you know, it printed, and it's been in stores and stuff like that. That was cool too. But, you know, in the end, we would have still had this cool comic, which, you know, you can really only do in this medium, you know.
John, I have a question, because I know for your your not this recent Kickstarter, not the drummer Kickstarter, the previous one, you had the first go around, like, you had issues with funding, and like, you've had previous successes with Kickstarter, with other elements, and then you also relaunched the Powers Kickstarter, and it was successful after the relaunch, but you did it differently. And you've been around this block several times, and you've had a lot of successes in the indie comics realm, and you run your own publishing house. I mean, you do that, and you letter, and you do a lot of stuff for part-time, and you have this new Kickstarter coming out where you have 2 anthologies, which anthologies, we all know, are a lot of work. But like how do you know when you have a winner? Like, how do you know when to, like, to go back to it, or to drop that, to do that second attempt, or re-release it on your website and pre-order it? Like, how do you get that insight into what's, like, how do you find a banger? John?
I mean, you never know. I've had plenty of failures, including, I appreciate, you know, you building this mystique around me that I've had, you know, all this success. I mean, Depowered, I thought was an easy sell. I thought people were going to be like, hey, sad superheroes, you know, losing their powers, that people are going to be all over it. You know, it did not do so well on Kickstarter. It did not do well on Indiegogo. It did not do well on pre-orders through our site. So we actually, and you know what? I was too stubborn at that point. I said, I made this goddamn book. I'm going to print it, and we're going to put it out there anyway.
I was going to say, like, I have it. Like, I have it. I have a copy of it.
Yes, and you're one of the illustrious, you know, 50 or so people that purchased it. We will relaunch it, you know, one of these days for issue 2, because, you know, again, it really, comics is about being very stubborn. So in that case, you know, I thought that one was an easy sell, and it wasn't. Whereas I thought, like, Drumsticks of Doom, I thought, you know, a couple of metalheads will buy it, you know, like me. but nobody else is going to want to read a comic about, what if Man-O-War music was real and heavy metal ruled the earth. And that
Well,
one was
they
a huge
did.
success.
That Kickstarter hit, dude.
So you never know. I mean, I'm very confident in the people that I team up with, and obviously I've had some great artists, but you just never know. I did a similar subscription plan like Mark was doing, about 5 or 6 years ago, and that was part of what kind of got me burnt out with comics. I thought for sure, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. I have this following, and it did not do well. So it does happen. You have stumbles along the way, but what I always try to remind myself is, fortunately, I'm in a fortunate position where, if I lose a couple $1,000s, producing a comic book, I won't, be out on the street, and my family won't leave me or anything like that. You can't just throw money away, but I'm okay if I have a stumble. So I'm fortunate in that regard. So I can take a risk. I can say, you know what, I want to pay my artists up front. I want to get these things going in advance with the funds that I have, and then take a risk and just put it out there. That's all you can do. And then, if it doesn't make it, then you reassess and say, is this now a one shot? Is it, do I need to do something else? Do I need to repackage it and do it a different way? That's all you can really do. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I don't have the secret to success. I'm just stubborn, and I feel like I'm somebody who sees projects through. I think that's why people like to work with me. I'm going to find a way to make it work and get these projects out. Like, the 2 you're seeing now on Kickstarter, I'm sure it's happened to me many times. People throw out an idea. One of the first huge anthology projects I worked on, 140-page anthology for the 11 O'Clock Comics message board group. They said, we've tried to launch a community anthology dozens of times and it never gets off the ground. And again, I was too young and naive to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I just said, let's just do it. And, we did it. And it was great. We did 3 volumes of it. So I think that's all I really bring to the table is that, I try to see things through. If I commit to something for myself and for my fellow collaborators, I want to see that project come to light, however we can do that.
Do you guys like Mark and Clay? Like you've both been on Kickstarters. Clay, you recently your last anthology was Nightmare Theater. You helped a lot with that, right?
Yeah, co-editor of that.
And Mark, we've talked about your Kickstarter, your kind of brand, right? As you release these like multiple entities simultaneously. And so like Mark and Clay and you guys can like fight with one stick over who goes first when I ask this question. That's your problem, not mine. But like John, so John is stubborn, right? So John is stubborn and wants to see things through, but he says that, but I also think that like John has a good eye for like good content. But what, people listening, like how do you know what's good content? How do you know when to take the risk? How do you know when to bundle something into this Kickstarter or Clay? Like, how do you know when to like, I'm sure a couple people told you went too far a couple times. How do you know when to tell them to fuck off and you're going to put out your own comic book and not to worry about it? Like that's a guy. I'm interested. Because we're in a world where sometimes we got to play it safe. Like I don't want to pretend like I'm like the most fucking like woke, absolute God's gift to mankind, cis white male, right? Because like we're all trash because we don't know what real life is. But but how do you pick what's like? I just don't know. Like I read a lot of shit, and my buddies give me a handful of garbage all the time because they're like, well, you fucking like everything. And they're like, everybody likes you because you fucking like everything. And it's like, well, no, it's not true. I just don't talk about the stuff I don't like. Right. Like I like celebrating things more than shitting on it. But when you're running a press and when you're releasing comic books to the masses and when you're doing anthology work and when you're bringing in new creatives to bundle them with books that you really believe in and give them that kind of shot, like, what do you guys look for? Like or do you like feel it? You like feel it in your gut or, like you like read something and you're like, yep, that's it. And that's going to like go through all the passes. Or I've been talking too long. Like you guys got to start talking. I'm sorry. So like give us all the answers. Go. Done.
Well, I guess, for me, I think resilience is the name of the game here. You do not have to go far in the indie comic book scene to find talent, right? It's just all over the place right now. But finding people who when you have something, because there's a lot of external factors, right? Like we try and focus on, do we have new backers, and are the people who backed us before coming back? Because that dollar figure is going to fluctuate, for all sorts of different reasons, right? Because there's a bunch of awesome books that came out in the same month and people spent their money on other Kickstarters. That's outside of your control. You can't really do anything about that. Or maybe, you just didn't read the room well, right? It wasn't the right book at the right time. That's going to have some fluctuations. And I've been in a situation, where things have been going well, but you're experiencing burnout versus where things are kind of, less or moderately successful, but you're feeling really good about the project because the project's energizing. For me, there's always going to be stumbling blocks in finding the people that like don't immediately start pointing fingers when shit goes wrong. Cause like, I always say like, I reserve the right to fuck up some simple shit, like that will happen, like that's like one of the things I tell creators before they come work with us. Like, things will go good, but I will fuck something up.
Like this is going to be great. Except for one part, and you're going to be like, why did I do this to myself? But we're going to get over that. And
I so appreciate that philosophy. I used to work with a guy at a bookstore who would screw things up. And whenever that was brought to his attention, he'd just go, yeah, I fucked up. And it's like, you know what? You can't get mad at this guy because it's like he's being honest about it. He fucked up and he's going to try better next time. And then I think he got addicted to heroin and robbed the store and went to jail. But
there's always that turn. This guy had it really figured out.
He really had until then.
He started freebasing, and then like, you guys ever done hot rails when you like pour meth on a table and heat up a glass tube and snort it with the hot tube, and you snort powder and you blow out clouds? I don't know how I know about that, but I heard
very
it's
accurate.
Real fun. Heard it's real fun.
That's a very specific description of.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
went to Catholic school, man. I don't know.
Add to-do list.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that though.
For me though, like I just have to try to make the kind of comics that I like. Like if I don't want to read it, I don't necessarily want to make it. But then there's also like, I mean, there are a couple of different ways of looking at this because there's Kickstarter is a market, and there is a type of book that seems to do very well on Kickstarter, and I think there are ways you can sort of game the system to your benefit, right? Like I can put out a book that has Lovecraft in the title and has 8 titty covers, and I'll make $1 bajillion, you know what I mean? So everybody take that idea and we'll all come out with our competing Lovecraft porn.
Do you guys ever?
Now I want to make an anthology where we just make the most over the top, like spoon-fed themes of all the like hit all the
you can make
I want to make that book right now.
and you'll make good money doing it. There are things that do well on Kickstarter. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're good books. It also doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad books. Like I'm not bad mouthing.
No, but it's a different. It's a different genre of Kickstarter. Like they're all there.
Yes.
And I sometimes think because I like the pinup variants, right? Like I love like the sexy like X-Men pinup, but they're like clothed, right? It's not like Jean Grey's getting like railed by Cyclops while Wolverine's like got a naked tit in his mouth, right? Like, and there are variants that are like this out there.
Yeah.
Like these things happen. And so my next question goes to John, like, why didn't we get the nude Simpson variants? And
well, I mean, you keep talking about my success, but you will see by the Kickstarter, we are not there yet. So I might throw that out at the last minute. There is some darker places of the internet where glory holes are prominent. You might go to where they already have done those types of art, and it's not great. But I will do it. I will sell out in a second. If we get to the last week and we're not at the goal, I might be over here drawing my crude Simpsons lines in sexy variants.
Like Marge.
Everybody wants a sexy Marge, yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't want a sexy Marge? But it's just weird to me because sometimes I think about buying them. I really did it with Nightmare Theater because I loved the not say, but that was also like a different titty cover. Like that was like borderline Alex Ross level.
It
like
was classy tits.
Yeah, two gorgeous vampires like sucking titty blood out of each other and just living the right kind of life. And
It's
like
young love. You gotta appreciate that.
It's like everybody, like gave me hope for the future. Like maybe I'll be there someday.
So we just for context to the viewer out there, it's Emanuele Taglietti, who is an Italian master who did all these horror covers for Italian comics back in the day. He still is turning out great stuff. So he did a cover for Nightmare Theater, and the cover was it was unclothed. And we actually paid him a little extra money to put some clothes on so we could have a safe for work version and a not safe for work version. And it was a good gambit. It was a good gambit. So I'm not against boobs on a cover. I got no problem with that. I'm just saying that I'm just saying that there are things that you can do to help yourself have a hit on Kickstarter, whether it's choice of genre, choice of variant covers, things like that. Certain horror tropes tend to do very well. Like I think, there it is. That's the safe for work version.
So this was the main cover, which is absolutely impressive in itself. And then, and we can't show it.
We censored it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we censored it. So so you could upgrade to that. And I spent many waking nights, folks, like trying to move money around.
Don't finish that sentence.
No, okay, well,
just stop right there.
I mean, like trying to move money around
while he was driving around looking for the glory holes.
I was driving around in the sultry streets of Kansas City with the barbecue smell in the air, and we were driving, and I was like, here's a truck stop, and I, you walk in and you announce yourself, right? When you like walk into the truck stop, you're like, hello, I'm here, and then you like wait, and then like no one says anything, but what if someone says anything? That's the next part. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. I just really like this cover. I've never experienced a glory hole. I just know about them from like Clay's comics. That's how I found out about.
You'll learn more from Mark. It's coming out soon, I hear.
Coming soon.
I think that's one of the frustrating parts too. Is the amount of books that we're sitting on at any given time, because it's always like you're excited about the project that you're writing or the project that you're like 3 months away, from. So I'm trying to spend a lot more time, like also taking a step back and enjoying, the fruits of our labor, like what's out now was worked on like 6 months ago, so it's like, so it's a fun little time capsule, and I do tend to like want to be like, oh yeah, but this is what we're working on, and this is what's coming and stuff like that, so it's I played music growing up, and we were playing good venues and stuff like that, and I was always had this like sourpuss on my face about being like, but why aren't we playing a bigger venue, and why aren't we touring with bigger bands and stuff like that, and enjoying where you're at right now, enjoying like the specific because 10 years from now, 15 years now, we're gonna look back at this anyway, we're gonna be like, man, those were some fucking fun times, when we were making pregnant bitches of war, or doing these skirting the laws on the Simpsons, copyright, like you gotta look at it.
Remember times when I wasn't in jail.
Blake's Buzz, like, oh, fuck.
Those were good times on Blake's Buzz before I went to the Slammer.
All right, back to the showers.
But I do agree. I think that we don't stop enough to smell the roses, so to speak, and enjoy the process of collaboration with other people and talking about it. And I feel very fortunate. Again, I've been doing this for about 12 years. I think I even said this on Blake's show last time. I don't have any delusions of grandeur to be writing Spider-Man next week or even in 10 years. I just want to enjoy the books I make with the people that I meet, and a lot of them have become close friends, and that's really cool. And I'm enjoying the ride.
That's
I
what
think,
we
it's all
actually
about.
set
I
up-
think all you guys are enjoying the ride, and you all have really good stuff. Like, John, I've mentioned many times, or at least 3 times, because he's been on my show twice. So I had to like congratulate him once more than that. But no, like John and Part Time Comics make great stuff. Like Clay, I've spent money on your guys' comics. Like I've spent money, like I've paid
Thank
you
you.
people
Thank you.
to like come on my show. Like no, but like so like
When
Clay,
does the check come through, by the way?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. You get
Outta here.
it's you get the boost.
Better
You
than a
get the-
check. It's an IOU.
Yeah, it's
hold on to that one.
And then it's
you're on the
hey,
review list. I don't know why
you
you
guys
buy 'em.
ever want to come back on Blake's Buzz? You know, you go if you ever need like a press release or like that's the benefit. But no, like all you guys have like solid stuff, and Mark, like you can see Mark or behind Mark if you can like get past his chiseled wonderful face. That's his little that's his studio that he puts his videos out on the internet, which is all the comics behind you. And that's a lot of comics behind you, dude. Like
Well,
you did all that.
I used to have a whole wall, and then my wife evicted me from the bigger room in the house because we had kids, and she was like,
Oh.
"Okay, you know," and I was like, "Yeah, you know." So
It's still a nice size wall. Like shit. He's like, dude, we used to have, it used to be our indoor pool. Like I lined the indoor pool with all the comics we made.
Well, I just started taping things to the old, like the room that's behind me. I just started taping all the art, like I was, printing it out and taping it up and stuff like that. And it was in the middle of quarantine. My wife walks in there and she's like, "Okay, you've officially lost your shit. Like it looks like a serial killer lives here. Friends are gonna come over here." She's a good sport.
My wife elected to find a house where she could banish me and I could have all my shit around me. So
Yeah,
live
she
in a
at least
garage.
now tells people though that I make comics. That was like a huge.
Oh, she
win.
does.
Like,
Wow. Okay. That's
yeah,
cool.
I was like, we were at a thing, and she was saying that to somebody. I was like, yes, I am. That is what I do.
Holy shit, guys! We finally have a question from the fucking audience. I've been trying to do this for weeks. All right. So would any of you want to write a big 2 title? If so, which one? And then, well, sorry. So maybe we could be like big 3, big 5. We go big 5. Go big 5, like Boom. We go like Boom and Marvel and DC and what's the other big one? Like Dark John's companies? Dark
Horse.
Dark
IDW.
Would you guys say okay? No, that all right. Sorry, Ignacio. I'm gonna before we get to Ignacio's question, what are your big 5? Like what are the top? So we got Marvel and DC, and we don't have to like fight over supremacy, but like following that, like because I've heard recently, like when people are like that's not indie because like the new indie publisher is like too big. So like what are you guys' head honcho after Marvel and DC? Like so or after Marvel DC Image, like where we at after that?
Marvel DC Image, then Dark Horse, and probably Boom or IDW is probably
IDW.
Yeah.
Are you talking like market share, or are you just talking about like what we like to read?
Pull up the stats.
Like I don't well, not like what you guys like to read. It's not about you, all right?
So like, I don't care what you like.
Blake's Buzz is about me. No, but like I guess money. We're following money. Like so.
But if your IP is on Netflix or Amazon Prime, like they've turned it into like a show. Like at that point, you've now got pulled into a bigger so. And I think that's the way Prime's or Amazon's going with like their acquisition of Comixology because, for all the bad things you can say about Amazon, we got Invincible, which was an amazing show. We got The Boys. So, you're going to start seeing a lot of, folks getting, pulled into that Amazon umbrella, right? Where it's just like this megalith, conglomerate with like, a bunch of smaller indie publishers that they're pulling, IP from that they consistently go to. So
which used to be Netflix, but Netflix has gotten a lot more conservative with what they want to do now. It seems like. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
the
Sorry.
acquisition of
Oh,
Comixology was
sorry
the
if I
smart
said
one.
something smart. I knew 3 guys for a loop. I'm just here for the shits and the giggles.
Well, and to argue against Ignacio's point, Image is more indie than the other ones we mentioned. They're the only one that do creator owned. I think
Yeah.
Boom has and IDW have kind of a subset, but they actually are indie. They own their own books, so they're a bunch of indie creators under one house. So anyway, I take umbrage.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like of the actual the rights that you own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Boom and IDW. A lot of these companies have movie studios backing them. I think Image really is just a consortium, or language is leaving me. I can't find the word, but a group of creators.
What I get for having writers on the show.
Yeah, right,
Fuck.
right. Am I supposed to be good with words? Is that
Get the thesaurus.
We'll just
Anyway.
overanalyze the question, and we'll just instead of
Can we?
Yeah, you got to think too hard about it.
When this goes out to people and they actually see it, we'll just cut that out, right? Like that.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
seeing it
this
right
is not
now,
live,
dude. We're
right?
live. This is a live show.
This is live.
Like right now.
Sucker. I didn't
Blake's
tell you about
Buzz,
that.
not
Shit.
live.
Damn.
Later.
I mean, they can watch it later, but
Yeah.
and a lot of people do, or not like a lot of people, but the
Oh,
audience is
humble
growing.
brag.
People are. No, all right. I'm not.
most
brag.
people will watch it on the shitter tomorrow. That's
They'll be
Let's
like,
be honest.
if you're taking a 2-hour shit tomorrow, we're there for you, babies.
We're there for you.
You just squeeze it out and
Those are the
and
best.
turn the volume up all the way, babe. We're there for you.
do it on company time. That's what I
Yeah.
suggest.
Yes, do it after you get to work.
Yeah.
I need to start doing that because I've been working from home for 2 years and they're bringing us back in at the first week of July. So I need to be like, you know what? That's it. You're getting a 45-minute Blake shit. That's what's gonna happen. I don't care if I only get a 15-minute break. Fuck you. I used to work from home. Now you brought me back because you got to deal with it.
Now you got to deal with it.
Now you got to. I'm probably gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, "You're fired." I'm on there. Like I use my work computer to do all this, so it's cool. Hey, just kidding. I'm on my 2013 MacBook. It looks great, doesn't it? It's awesome.
Looks great. And to answer the question, the answer is Marvel's Hercules.
That's a
Oh,
good.
nice.
That's
All right.
A good
Oh yeah,
answer.
we had questions. All right. So Hercules. What else?
I mean, at one
Let's
point
go.
it was probably Spider-Man, but I it's such an intimidating character that I could never really.
Dude, no.
think I could never
writing
take that on,
Spider-Man.
but
I feel like
Hercules,
everybody hates
I
Spider-Man. Yeah, and Hercules is awesome. He's he's almost Conan, which I guess Marvel has. Dude, we should do a Hercules and Conan miniseries where
have
they
they
just
not crossed
argue.
over yet? Since
They
it's
have.
Marvel? I
They
have
may
never-
have in like a scene or two, but I feel like Marvel's scared to like put them together because they're like too much of the same.
I think
But, like,
Marvel
that
is
could be
losing the
great.
Thor and
rights.
Hercules, they're the same, kind of.
Yeah,
I think Marvel is losing the Conan rights. I think I read
they
that.
are.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
they're going back. Oh, I don't know who they're going back to, but they're going back to somebody.
Public
It was
domain.
Dark Horse.
Yeah, I think it's whoever owns the trademark. They're putting out their own comics now.
It's so
Yeah.
weird. That shit's so weird to keep up with, and I I'm not like smart enough to do it. I'm like, I got like I got to go like eat some food or drink
That
some
means
beer or do
Here's my
something
pitch:
else.
Hercules punches Conan's head off. Marvel, call me. That's his send off for Marvel Comics.
All right, but yeah, so we got John. What do you guys think? Like, if everything like went your way, like what big 2 property would you want to take?
This is gonna sound weird because I'm promoting a book called Pregnant Bitches of War. But I would like Batman is my jam. Like that's my guy. I love Batman. I would, even if they just gave me an 8-page short story, I would love to just write some Batman, just some noir as hell, dark Batman.
Pregnant Batmans of War.
Pregnant
Yeah.
Batmans of War. I love it. Ooh, I smell money, John. I like that.
It's printing
My
already.
cut.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we log off of the shares and how that goes.
That should be our variant. That's our titty variant. I like it.
With our titty variant.
Yeah.
Yes. God,
Yeah.
this shit always costs me money. Why do you guys always cost me money when you're on my show? Like, you're gonna pay $30 for this cover, and then you're gonna get us for 6 more issues.
I
And then
keep telling
gotta-
you, you're on the review list. You don't need to back these projects, but
Well,
Shut
yeah,
up, John. What?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
I mean, for me, I don't know. You probably cut them off.
Yeah, for me, it's X-Men. I think that was what inspired me. And then when Ed Piscor did X-Men Grand Design, like that
Yeah.
was like when I was like, I gotta fucking make comic books now. Like that, like I have to at this point because I was just blown away by that.
You started a whole fucking publisher. Holy shit!
You just want.
Well, I don't do any superhero stuff, so
You don't have to. You don't have to do. You're making comics. You can do whatever you want, baby.
But if I was to do something with the big two, I would be like, okay, now it's time to shoot some lasers out of your eyeballs and fly around or something.
There are so many damn X-Mans. I don't know how anybody could keep track of it.
There's so many. It's crazy. What do you?
I'm reading them in chronological right now.
Are you?
Where
you at?
I'm in the 1950s right now, so I'm reading them in. Some guy put all the news and olds and put them in like, and to include like Avengers and like all the like the Submariner and everything. Like if they appear in it, he's like put it in. So
Wow.
that's like, yeah. So that's what I do on the shitter.
You do a lot. You do a lot.
Covered many centuries.
She's like, you're like my wife gets mad at me for like publishing all these comic books. Like, no, dude, she gets mad at you for like hanging out in the bathroom for 5.5 hours a day.
Better than what I did as a teenager, in the bathroom for that much.
No, that's true. I've been buying all the Claremont omnibuses, and I'm now behind because we've surpassed like the Marvel release schedule of what Blake can afford. But I have like the Uncanny X-Men omnibuses, and they just came out with Fall of the Mutants, which has been out of print for a long time, and I really want that. And so like, but I'm buying like these tomes, right? All these like Marvel tomes of omnibuses, and I haven't even finished the Chris Claremont Volume 1 omnibus yet. Like I'm reading that and the Green Arrow Longbow Hunter saga, and I've been reading these both for a year because I read one issue and I like them and they're intriguing and they're fun, but they're just it's a little heavier. Like not necessarily Green Arrow, but like Claremont is a little like prose heavy.
Dense. And
so I read that, and then like I read like one issue of that, and it takes me a little longer than to like read an issue of like Pregnant Benches of War, who's just like squirting milk and murder everywhere, and you like can't stop, right? Like there's like Claremont, and then there's like fucking Clay Adams, and like new comics read different than old comics is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like it just like it takes a little bit longer. And when I'm writing reviews and I'm doing Blake's Buzz and I'm doing the Blake's podcast, like I'm I can't devote all my time to Chris Claremont's X-Men. I wish I could. I wish I could be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna call my day job tomorrow. I'm gonna be like, hey, you know what? Like it's been a solid 3 years, but like fuck you. I'm just gonna read Chris Claremont X-Men comics and get paid. And no one does that.
It, man. Most of the time, what's in Chris Claremont's dialogue boxes is what's happening in the panel. Anyway,
I love that though. When it's like when Juliet's like, oh, I'm gonna bring my like weird party powers that sparkle, and then like I'm gonna throw them at this person, and then Wolverine pops. I love like the direction of like, listen, I'm writing comic books for people that fucking aren't smart enough to go from panel to panel, and I'm gonna explain everything.
Well, I think it was more about how you felt about his artist drawing panel to panel, but no, I mean, even like I love Champions, the Marvel's Champions, because Hercules again. But again, that's a little dense. So sometimes, when you're reading through, it's okay. You know what? You don't have to get every single word. We all got things to do. We all don't have 9 hours to take shits a day. So you got to move on.
You got to breeze through it.
Yeah. First, what, 32 plus issues of X-Men. You also so you have all of that. Plus you have like Scott and Jean like just fawning over each other and every these long drawn out thought bubbles. And then of course like Stanley's got to throw in like his like editorial blurbs, like one on every other page where it's like, if you remember, kids, last issues, like I got it, Stan, come on, like those take a while. Those take a while to power through.
Do you ever like get off your toilet and you like and like you so for me, like I'm reading this like 18-pound Marvel X-Men comic, right? It's like I put my bookmark in, I close it, and I put it, my shitter's next to the clothes washing machine. So I put my X-Men comic on top of the washing machine, and then you like get up and your like legs don't work anymore, and you're like fuck, oh, like, and you're like wobbling around everywhere and you don't know what's going on, and you're like, man, I wish I had fucking mutant powers because I can't even get off the fucking toilet.
That's
How am
how
I gonna fight
Professor X
Magneto?
got fucking paralyzed, dude. He was reading fucking Chris Claremont
Reading on
He
the
comics.
read
toilet,
too
yeah.
many
On the
X-Men
toilet.
comics on the oh my god,
Fucking can't walk.
this is why I've been doing Blake's Buzz Live for 11 weeks for that this moment right
Just for
now.
that moment.
Yeah, it
What's up,
finally
Nick?
happened.
Mick, New Mutants is killing Mick. Don't die, Mick.
He envies it, but like, I mean, you know, like it works though. It's fun. It's good to know where the good stuff came from, right? And it's, I mean, some of it, like, you know, it's good, but you know,
Oh no, a lot of it is great. It's just
it's,
you know,
it's,
it was
it's
of
great,
its
yeah.
era. You know,
Of
For
its
the,
time,
for,
yeah.
the,
really,
for, the,
you know,
for the low spots, the highs are better, is what I was
yeah,
trying
and
to say.
they didn't, you know, they didn't have the wealth of writers to go back on through comics. They were, you know, they were figuring it out. So he's one of the greats. I don't doubt the man's prowess in the comic industry. But you know, again, some of those, like when I've read, you know, Ditko Spider-Man or stuff like that, you know, again, sometimes you just kind of take it in page by page rather than you know, having to feel like you have to read every word, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I'm really glad that you guys are still here when you obviously probably didn't think that we were going to talk about reading X-Men while we were taking shits on the toilet next to the washing machine, and how our knees get wobbly. You know, the older we get, you know, it's being a nerd's hard. You know,
See, this brings up so many questions for me though, because I like, do you ever get drunk and accidentally shit in the washing machine?
yeah. All right, no, you want to hear real shit your pants
I mean,
story?
you
Clay?
can clean it out.
You want to hear? No,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna throw myself under the bus right now, fellas. I was a bouncer for 7 years at a really popular bar in Kansas City, and when I first started, I was a good boy, and about a year into it, we were partying till fucking 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm crawling home, like, you know, like being at my boss's house, like doing ungodly weird shit at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I would go home and I would crawl in through the door and I would fall asleep, and I would sleep all day until like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And then I'd wake up and then I would go to work between 7 and 9 o'clock at night. And the bar was open till 3 a.m. So I would work until like 7 to 3. Anyways, long story short, like I'm fucking drinking, I'm partying, I'm fucking being a weirdo, right? I'm being fucking crazy. There's one fucking day, man, I'm hungover, man. I'm hurting. I fucking wake up. Oh, I wake up, I feel bad. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I gotta piss, shit, or puke, right? I just know I gotta get out of bed and do something. So like I fucking get out of bed, right? And I go and I'm like, all right, I just gotta piss. And I'm like hyping myself up, right? I'm like, all right, oh yeah, we just gotta piss. That's it. So like I'm sitting there taking a piss, man. And like mid piss, like I got to fart, and I'm like, all right, I'll fart. Shit all over the place. I just woke up hungover, and I was so glad. Like I got to the bathroom, right, and I'm just taking a piss, and I'm like, ooh, and then it went wrong. It went wrong real quick, and I was just like standing there, and I'm like, what do I do?
And that's when he installed the washing machine in the bathroom. The end.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that was the one time Blake's Buzz shit himself when he was just trying to pee after a hard night of drinking, and that's what Blake's Buzz Live is about. I hope everybody backs Clay's book and Mark's bundle and John's two anthologies. I hope everybody really backs that. I hope we brought you into this, like, you know, creative realm through me shitting myself in the laundry room, and that's just all I can really hope about Blake's Buzz Live. You know, like it was your fault. You guys knew a little bit about me before you signed up for this, so like but yeah, no, that's the only time I ever shit myself, other than kindergarten. I shit myself in kindergarten, and the teachers yelled at me, and I still remember that because I remember them yelling at me and shaming me for like shitting myself. And
So what you're saying is there's a pattern of this.
Yeah, there's a pattern. There's a
Yeah.
there's a 20-year pattern.
Every
I'm gonna
20 years.
I'm gonna turn 41, and something weird's gonna happen. I hope it happens like when I'm doing an interview. I hope I'm like 41, and I'm doing a fucking live show, and I just accidentally just pollute, annihilate myself in the middle of the show. And what's cool is like I'll just have to like deal with it. I'll just be like, yeah, I'm sitting on this chair, and like it's cool, it's fine. You guys won't ever know about it.
Could be happening right now.
It could be
the consummate
It could be.
professional.
That's
Yeah,
right.
This is a confession.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I swear to God, I'm usually more on it than this. Like it's usually I've never talked about shitting myself on air before. It's a crazy thing. I will say that I did embarrass myself in front of Kevin Cuff and Bob France one time, and talking about one of Charlie Stickney's books, and that's when after that was when I figured out that I wanted to go on my own and do Blake's Buzz. So like I had this huge failure with like the Metal Shark Bro team, and then I just fucking was like, hey, let's fucking like take over the internet and do Blake's Buzz.
I mean, I've only met them a few times. I don't really feel like there's anything you could really do to embarrass yourself in front of those rapscallions. Kevin and Bob are
I do love telling this part of the story though, because it's so great. Like there was a mess. It was a mess of a shit show of an interview, and that we were late because we got the time zones wrong and some other shit. And then we get everything together, and then the leader of our podcast, like his Wi-Fi dropped out, and then he like pops back in, like, you know, we're all like talking and laughing, and Kevin and Bob were so gracious to like stay there with us, because they could have been like, no, dude, like we're done, and they weren't like that. And then our fearless leader pops back in. He's like, hey guys, I got my Wi-Fi back up. And Bob France goes, you better not fuck up this vibe, bud, or we're out of here. And he was like, what? And like, he was like, Bob was totally fucking with him, and it was awesome. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in an interview, and it's great. I've been chasing that fucking dragon ever since.
I know, just disappointment after disappointment.
Yeah, right. Like nothing ever happened. Like nothing's great. No, I'm kidding. Every fucking interview I've ever had has been really solid. And I was a grad school dropout and paid a whole bunch of money to talk to a bunch of writers and creatives to learn how to tell stories. And all that money is bullshit, because I've learned so much more from just talking to awesome people like you. And I'm like for real, guys, like all like Mark, Clay, John, like you guys know what is a good story, and you know what, you know how to get from point A to point B and take us around to the G spot and then the H spot and then the J spot, but you get us where we need to go. And so I just like for real, like I it's amazing, like getting to talk to people like you guys, because I know you guys come on to, like, you know, pump out your show and like hopefully, you know, get you know some extra clicks or whatever. But for me, like personally, like it's so cool to talk to people that are curating good comics, and all you guys are. Like, it's crazy. Sorry to get cheesy. Sorry to go from like, you know, weird stories or whatever, but I just, you know,
we come here for the pants shitting stories and the cheese, and we
right
it.
like, yeah. You know, like this guy was like talking about shitting himself, and then he told me I wrote a really good comic and I felt great about it. Like,
it's been a whole roller coaster.
I keep
this is my favorite part too.
Yeah,
you know, my wife only hears like half of the conversation, right? And she's like, you know, you're talking about shitting yourself in there, and I'm like, I'm working
here. No, but we appreciate. I know you've had people tell you you're too positive, but you know, we really appreciate it too. You know, you're one of the great voices in the community right now, really championing these indie books. So we appreciate it. You know, you joke about people come on your show and make you spend money, but you do the same in turn to us, and
absolutely
tweet out all these good, you know, these good projects and everything, and share them out. And we really appreciate having people like you who are just excited. It helps us want to keep doing this stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amen.
That energy, yeah. I mean, that's what gets you through, like, you know, the days where like you have that edit that doesn't seem to go away, like that typo that like you just like keep, you know, having to try and power through. But those tedious days will suck all life out of you, and days like this yeah, shit in your pants will make it worth your while.
Well, shit, man, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel that makes me feel like cheeks sliding against a greasy slipped shit. That's basically. I tell you guys, I was a poet.
Yeah,
clearly.
beautiful.
No, I appreciate it, and I still don't, you know, like it weirds me out, but I just I read a lot of comic books, and I'm in a good position where I get to read a lot of comic books for free because I'm on a lot of press lists, and I do know I get to see a lot of stuff that slips out that people don't notice, that, you know, people don't do Kickstarter, or you know, like people never heard about you before, and it's, you know, and I'm just I'm excited to get to talk to you guys that are telling good stories, or curating good stories, or, you know, putting them out there in different ways. Like Mark, I love your Kickstarter bundles, and I would so much rather, and again, like I don't want to be a dickhead, but like give me a zine instead of a metal bookmark, right? Like that's about the same money, you know, like if you did a metal bookmark, or like had a couple people do like a several page zine, like you could balance that stuff out. I would much rather have like a couple extra comics in a Kickstarter bundle. And we're seeing more of that, you know, with like the digital bundles, like, hey, like back me, and then like we're all working together. We'll throw in like, you know, 4 free issues. I love that. I would much rather get that than like, you know, a lot of prints and extra stuff. And again, I love, because I pay money for these prints and extra stuff. So like I'm just fucking full of shit, basically. But you know, like I like the idea of like bundling these multiple issues. Clay, I love your fucking fearlessness, man. Like
Thanks, dude.
like I would so like, it would break my heart if there was ever a moment where you were like, I can't go full Clay. Right. Because like I love full Clay, and John, like I love that you do whatever you want to do, and even if they tell you no, you're like, guess what, fuck you, motherfucker, I'm coming back. And like, and I'm so happy that happened, because I'm you know, when you came back it worked, and like that's got to be super scary to say. You know, like, okay, like I sometimes I think about like pitching comics as to like flirting with a woman, right? And so like if you like, yeah,
there's
it's
more
worse.
rejection.
But if you like, if you're like flirting with a girl at the bar, right, and you blow it, right, and then you turn back around, you're like, all right, listen, I fucked up the first time, but like what if we did this, and this? And she's like, motherfucker, all right, here's my phone number. And like you did that, like, and that's so fucking
well
epic.
It's like flirting, but there's like only 12 women on the planet that are accepting flirtation at the time, and all 12 of them reject you. So you go out on your own and you do it yourself. You find a glory hole. So that's what I did. Glory hole comics coming next week. Yeah.
Guy, all 3 of you, I gotta ask, like, did anybody ever tell you guys like to stop and you said no?
My wife.
Yeah.
Begs me all the time.
John's wife told
Yeah.
me, cut that out.
Cut it.
Yeah.
It's like, John, you gotta get this Clay guy out of here. But no, like, but also like people
women.
that like people, you know, like maybe that backed like a previous campaign that left a shitty review or something. Like, did anyone ever like really just say like, you guys need to stop, and you were like, no, I'm never gonna listen to you ever?
There are people who, sure, there are people who don't like things, and they'll let you know about it. And you know, you kind of have to go, all right, does this person have a point, or do they just like shitting on something? And you know, most people just like shitting on something.
Right. You should at least reflect and say, I've not been successful enough to get people to shit on my stuff yet. I look forward to that in the future. I've had only a few people really give me negative reviews. And again, like Clay said, in that case, it was like, well, they might have a point here. You know, the pacing was off, or, you know, didn't tell enough in the story for them to really follow what was going on. You know, there was some honest feedback there. So I haven't gotten anybody to, again, honestly, my wife, she tries to tell me, you spend too much time, you spend too much money, please stop doing this. But I don't listen to it.
Never.
Yeah,
Never stop.
I was actually at a bar with my wife before we started dating, and I literally like saw out of the corner of my eye like her texting her friends, being like, "I'm stuck here with a bunch of fucking idiots," and I was like, "Oof, I don't think my prospects are good." But hey, you just got to keep at it. Eventually she was like, "All right, you're not terrible, I guess." So, hey, keep at it.
It's the greatest love story ever told.
Yeah, that's like Lifetime original territory.
Yeah, I mean, it's astounding to me, but I mean, everyone comes with, she also understands that, and I assume Clay and John, you're in the same situation, probably you too, like where if you're not out there creating, you're gonna lose your friggin' mind. Like, you got to be making something. Like
all I
Absolutely.
do is create. I want to take this time out for Blake's Buzz to talk about how real solid of a creator I am. I'm sorry, I'm a dick. But like, no, I don't. It weirds me out when you guys like talk to me about like in your realm, because you do like a lot more important shit, and I have like a day job, a puppy, and I read comic books and talk about how cool they are. That's like all I do.
I mean, whether it's a podcast, it's a blog, whether you're doing whatever it is that's something that's like a passion for you, I always find like it's like other dudes that are like in their 35, 45, like most people will be like, oh, like you make comic books or whatever, but like somebody like dudes in that age range are always like, whoa, yeah, like I fucking hate my job and I want to kill my boss. Like I was doing that, like, tell me more about, and it's like, you're kind of like, leaving the water cooler talk at that point, we're just like, oh, okay. Like, because they know, right? Like a lot of people who don't have that creative outlet, right? They're just like, they're like white knuckling it through life. They're just like,
Clay, is that what you did when you were like at the water cooler and you were like, so there's this scene and they're eating dinner and then this guy's like, oh, you're eating this baby you just delivered, and then we show a picture of a baby without its back and its ass, and everybody knows that they ate it, and these people at the water cooler are like, okay, I'm gonna go get a granola bar and cry for a while, and I guess like
call HR.
Yeah, we had, we had a superstar creator who was gonna draw the cover to that issue. And once I told him what happened in it, he was out. He was out. He had a lot of not great things to say. And he was out, and it definitely like made me go, oh geez, did we really cross a line? But it was such a moment that we were building to, you know what I mean? Like it was a real moment, and it was, it just not everything's going to be for everybody.
But it also showed how dangerous your antagonist was.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
Like it wasn't just like, that's what aggravated me about reading your graphic novel or your first volume of it. Cause I was like, it made me laugh. It made me feel weird. Right. But it was like still structured and paced so wonderfully. And I was like, how the fuck does someone do that? Like, it legit like kind of blew my mind. Like, just
Cool to hear.
in the sense of like thinking about, you writing that comic and how like I was like terribly confused, but simultaneously impressed. And just that, like, I don't know if I could ever like let myself be free enough to tell that story. And when I think about moments like that of like not necessarily being like free enough or just being like knowledgeable enough to know who to include in my Kickstarter release or who to include in my anthology like the rest of you guys are doing, like I really hope that as full of shit as I am and goofy and but I do want all of you guys to know that like you're fucking powerhouses in the indie industry. And I don't want to, I'm full of shit and stuff, but like, you're all very talented and you all have like really good outlooks on what comic books need right now.
Yes,
And
babies
you're
getting
all
eaten.
putting
Yeah,
that
we
out.
got that. That's what comics need.
So we need more of.
But
Yeah.
not just that, but there's other elements. But I'm like, maybe babies are delicious. Like, who the fuck knows? But like, I'm just saying, like, you guys aren't scared to put out a comic book like that. You're not scared to make that joke. You're not scared to pull in this fucking creative no one's ever heard about to put a fucking 6-page short in your comic, right? And you're not fucking scared to drop an original graphic novel with a floating glory hole, which is what it kind of is. I feel like that's where the joke's leading. But I'm just saying, like, you guys aren't scared to make the joke or to take the risk or to put that twist on the storytelling. And all three of you have that in common. And I really think that's why the three of you are putting out some real fucking solid shit on the crowdfunding campaigns right now.
Well, thank you so much. I am scared all the time, and that's the trick. You know, like,
That's the
you
secret.
just do it. You just do it anyway, you know, and see what happens. It's not
I just
that serious.
I just have to say that, given our green room conversation before we started, like every time John goes, like camera goes off for a second, I'm just like in my head, I'm like, he's doing cocaine over there.
I mean, we've been talking for 2 hours. I'm very old,
Yeah,
so you know, I don't know. I
like-
can't make it through this interview without a bump.
Yeah,
I've
he's
been,
like, "Oh,
I've been
opera."
trying to do that on my Ko-fi, like, like every Wednesday, like donate to Blake's cocaine fund, but you can't just say, you can't say that. You have to like dramatize it, right? And it's like, man, I already lost a fucking dog to cancer. Like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, how do I get you guys to pay for my cocaine habit? I'm just kidding. I don't have one of those. That happened when I was a bouncer, and we talked about that. Like, when I shit my pants in the laundry room, I shit out the cocaine habit. Like, I was done. But no, like, anyways, yeah. So I always ruin our good moments. I feel like on Blake's Buzz Live, we get to this good moment and we hike all you guys up and I like make you guys feel better. And you're like, man, this guy just like talked about this thing I wrote and made, and it was like cool. And then he talks about like shitting himself and doing cocaine. And I don't know what to do with this guy.
That's part of the charm.
That's part of the charm, baby.
That is actually a typical cocaine thing, because it dehydrates you, your bowels collect the water, and then it makes it so it leaks out. Don't ask me how I know all that.
Information.
Mark, I will say Mark was really excited when I sent him the link earlier. I was like, hey, Mark, here's the link for tonight. He was like, dude, I'm so excited. I was like, yeah, just wait.
It won't last.
He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what's gonna. Clay didn't either. Clay, this is our first. Like, really, John was the only one who kind of knew the clusterfuck he was falling into.
But he came back eagerly.
He did.
I did. I mean, hey, man. Again, this is what I live for. These interactions. Having these moments. This is fun. This is part of what's great about the small community of indies.
I'm gonna send our shyest creator next. I'm gonna be like, yeah, Blake is gonna be a very don't
Very
worry.
low key interview. Yeah,
low key.
Hey, just the fact that he's already thinking of he's like, man, I got a good
Start
guy
lining
who would
people
come
up.
on this show. Like, I guess I didn't. I tried to fuck up, but I didn't fuck up enough. Mark's like, I'm gonna send more people to you.
Oh yeah, I
Send
got
them.
it.
Just for the comedic value.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've kept you guys for almost 2 hours, and I appreciate it. And this was so fun, and all of you are like so wonderful, and you're so talented, and you have so many good comics like that you're carrying on your shoulders, like up the fucking hill until like your wings get too hot from the sun, and then you fall back down. Then you have to carry yourself back up. That's like the indie comic game, right? It's like a roving hill that you like wish you were Sonic the Hedgehog and you could just collect those rings and run, but sometimes you get tired anyways. That's a weird explanation that like maybe will make sense later, but I'm going to go around everybody. And this is the time where I want everybody to shout out like where to find you, where to follow you, where's a good place to like keep track of all your weirdo fucking shenanigans that you're like finding all these people to release comics and having baby dinners and and Hitler sucking some titties on page 1 of issue 2. Like, hey, whatever, man. Like, whatever you do. Shout out to Clay because he did that in his fucking comic, which is crazy. Let's start with Clay. Clay, where do we find you? Where do we keep track of you? Where are you at, buddy?
Well, you can find my work at friedcomics.com. You can find the new issue of PBOW, that's Pregnant Bitches of War, at friedcomics.com/PBOW. That will take you to the Kickstarter running now for about 2 more weeks. And you can find me on Twitter at Clay's Evil Twin. I would love to share some tweets with you. So follow me.
Yeah, everybody should follow him. Everybody should go back pregnant Bitches of War, because I read volume 1 today and while I was eating a Pop-Tart and
on the shitter.
I was eating a Pop-Tart, I was taking a drunk shit, and I was reading Clay's comic.
And I was reading Claremont's X-Men.
I just had a really weird morning today. No, but
that explains it, yeah.
But I love it. It like it was the best shit I've had in a year. I feel like
my job here is done.
I feel rejuvenated.
That was the Pop-Tarts, actually. It had nothing to do with me.
But it's so funny, and it's a kind of funny that you feel guilty about laughing, and you feel so guilty about laughing when you think about it later. Your heart is lighter. Your heart, your soul, your gut, everything is lighter because you laughed at Clay's dirty fucking jokes, and I just can't recommend it enough. It was so good, and I'm so excited to read more of it. And also, like, Clay just he puts out other comics like every 30 days. I feel like he almost, like, no pressure, like that's your but you release a lot of comics. You've had you put out a lot of stuff.
To be fair, in my defense, so like a lot of this stuff is older stuff that, like, Deadskins was a book that was sitting in my drawer for 7 years before I put it up on Kickstarter. So it's all smoke and mirrors, man. It looks like I'm putting out more stuff than I am, but I'm trying to get to a regular schedule for sure.
Well, all right. Well, speaking of smoke and mirrors, Mr. Mark of Lesser Known Comics, who has a great logo, who has a great backlog of comic books that he puts out on Kickstarter. He curates this lovely crowdfunding package and just drops it into your lap and beckons you to pull the tail of the bow and let it unravel before you, and to some really great fucking comics. And like, I just think it's so cool. He gives new creators a chance, and he has a good eye for the comics. And like, so Mark, like, where do we keep track of you to get all the fucking awesome indie comics that you guys are dropping?
Yeah, so lesserknowncomics.com, right on the main page will lead you to the Kickstarter with Tank McGregor and Goodnight and Death Wish. So that's going live, or that's live till June 3rd. And then Instagram, we're posting a bunch of stuff on Instagram all the time. So that's just at Lesser Known Comics. And then Twitter, Lesser K Comics. That was the best we could do. But yeah, and I always encourage people, don't be a stranger. I've talked to a few people this week who, were launching their own Kickstarters and, had questions and things, everything from, questions about printers and fulfillment and stuff like that. Hit me up. Don't be a stranger. Definitely. Also, all our artists are tagged in all our posts and stuff like that. Reach out to them, and they're always open to shoot the shit. They love interacting with the rest of the indie comic community.
Well, hell yeah. And follow them on Instagram, and follow me too, because I need more Instagram followers. And this is what it's all about, is me. It's about me. I'm just kidding. And Mark, by the way, like, talking to you tonight was fucking great, and I love your fucking comics, and I wish you all the best. And
you too, brother.
Also, Clay, you're just a cool dude, and I dig your comics, man. And last but not least, one of my actual literal favorite people on the internet, and I don't think he believes it, but I really mean it, like, with every fucking ounce of my stupid, dumb, fat white boy soul.
Well, now I feel terrible for you. Your standards are very low.
Oh, dude,
What
it's
you
so
expect from
low. It's
internet
so low. Which is
personalities.
like, how am I single? My standards are so low. Like, how am I single? I should at least be able to get some, like, you know, like eight kid lady on. Well, I'm not talking about E80 right now. Oh, you threw me for a loop. Jon Westhoff, ladies and gentlemen, he's just fucking awesome. He's got this smart mouth where you like want to get mad at him sometimes, but you just want to roll him in a little ball and make him into a good little sandwich because he's great. Jon, I fucking love you, dude. And I love that your last two campaigns are fucking like not hurting. They're going to be good. And you deserve it because you make fucking cool comics, dude.
I appreciate
Like,
you, sir. And
can
again,
we just talk about the cool comics you make for a second? Maybe illegally, but whatever. Like there's like, if you want, like, no one's putting out Simpson comics right now. Like, right? Like everybody, like they're putting out like Bob Burger shit. Like, you want some fucking Simpsons comics, ladies and gentlemen? Go to John's Kickstarter. You get yourself a little Springfield sampler. That's what we're calling it, a little Springfield sampler. And it's and you should back it. You should back it. You should back it twice. Get some variants and
Please
get
do.
the Magic the Gathering one. Maybe learn to play Magic the Gathering. I never could do that. I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't get, like, you tap. What the fuck does tapping mana mean? You turn it sideways? Why do you turn it sideways? I don't understand.
Like, that's how you're declaring that you've used it for mana or declared it as an attacker. That's it. It's only
lost.
a piece of cardboard.
Tell us about your fucking Kickstarter, you fucking magician.
Follow me, Linktree, Part-Time Comics, because I cannot afford a website at this point. Even 12 years into a comics career, I cannot afford a website. So please hit me up there. You can find our latest crowdfunding there, which includes, like Blake said, one zine, one anthology together, ripping off two great intellectual properties that we do not own. We call it an homage, we call it a parody, but yes, we have a Magic the Gathering zine, and we have a tribute to the comics of Springfield, Simpsons comics anthology as well. With across both books, I have 25 amazing creators and myself who have helped create these awesome projects. So it's been so great to get back into collaborating and making anthologies. This is my 13th anthology that I've been a part of. And I just love creating anthologies with different people and a lot of first-time creators or creators who don't put out a lot of work. So I'm always happy to collaborate with those people and get more work from them into the world, or in this case, a lot of their first comic stories.
Well, that's pretty cool, dude. It's a lot cooler than what I do. You know what I do? I get drunk on Wednesday night and I randomly trick like 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6.
I think the coolness is equal. It's like, right
is
here.
Is
yeah.
it?
If we don't have a show to talk about on, what's the point of making these comics?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that like why would I make a comic if I can't be on a show to talk about it?
That's it.
We
do it for the interviews.
That's right. Definitely not the money.
Same.
That's my wife.
Fucking same. Shit. No, all you guys, this was super awesome. All of you guys are awesome. I thought this was a great chat. If our listeners don't think so, you can just tell them to go fuck themselves. You can put that in the comments, put that in a little comments box. You can, I'll give you everybody's email. There's like the same 5 people. David Hazan writes for Mad Cave Studios. I'll give you guys his email if you want to. I'm just kidding. David, I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Ignacio, thank you for tuning in. El Crudo, thank you for tuning in. Everybody, Mick, like whoever showed up in my show tonight, that's fucking crazy. Like, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. All of you, Clay, John, Mark, like, what the fuck made your lives get to this point where you had to tune in on Wednesday night? This for 2 hours. 2 hours you guys put up with me. You're all just little sweethearts. That's what you are. You're little,
we heard
little
some great
comic
shitting
sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I talked about shit in my pants while I was peeing in the toilet. At least part of it got in there.
You call Clay brave.
That's right. You're the brave one, pal.
You're the brave one.
I'm like Conan. I pull the sword out of the rock and I'm here to party. That's what it is. No, I'm all of you guys, like, this was awesome. Everybody listening, everybody who listens later, like, Pregnant Benches of War, lesser known comics, John, into the stack. Oh fuck!
Just say part-time comics.
Part-time comics, back part-time comics. Oh shit the bed on that one. Shit them again, ladies and gentlemen. There's a 2 shit stories in this podcast.
Ouch! It's my fault. I picked a
man.
confusing name.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us, Blake.
It was awesome, guys. I wish you all the
thanks for having
best.
us.
Like I really do admire everything you guys are doing in the indie comics community. And you're all fucking talented, and it really makes me jealous. And I wish this wouldn't even happen because now I'm mad about it. It's done. I'm gonna delete it. No, I'm just kidding. Anything you guys ever need from Blake's Buzz, I'm here for it. And again, listeners, Clay Adams is hilarious. Back of stuff, laugh about it, feel dirty about it 24 hours later. John, just everything, man. Just get some fucking Simpsons comics. No one's putting out Simpsons comics. Get some goddamn Simpsons comics. Simpsons. Bart has the funny hair. Mark, I'm not gonna fuck it up anymore, man. You did it. You did. That's it. Guys, we're done. You did it. You made it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Thank you.
I'm gonna
so
go
much,
back
guys.
you guys right now. I gotta go check out the pages, see what I want. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dump some money into these folks, ladies and gentlemen. They need it. They may not need it. They want it though. Everybody wants money.
It's always good.
Yeah.
The other creators want it, definitely.
Yeah,
That's true. I got people to pay.
yeah. I don't,
Good night.
but I appreciate. No, guys, thank you for coming on my show. This was so fun. Thank you for putting up with my bullshit. I'm sorry again. But this was great, and I really do appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thanks for having us.
All
Good
right.
night.
Adios.
Click. He doesn't know how to end the show. He forgot.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.